that we're seeing right now feels like we are in a war zone, and it feels like honestly a third world country. I'm an assistant professor of emergency medicine at Columbia University within the Department of Emergency Medicine, obviously. So I work on the front lines, obviously, amidst this pandemic right now. There's patients stacked up in the hallways. There's patients who obviously have critically low oxygen levels, who need to be intubated, who need critical care, and we just don't have obviously the bodies and resources that's needed amidst this current time. The lack of personal protective equipment has been a huge issue here in the United States. So we are essentially rationing our personal protective equipment. So I'm not saying we don't have any, but obviously it isn't at the level or standard that we should be. I wish I had a hazmat suit or a bunny suit to essentially dock in and deal with these patients, but I essentially come in and I have my full N95 mask, and I wear a kind of surgical mask over that to prevent it from getting dirty or soiled. To be honest with you, I've actually had to give up a shift here and there because obviously the added demand of what we're dealing with right now is definitely weighing itself and putting a toll on myself and others. And initially, I was trying to pick up extra shifts, obviously just to help others out. But we're realizing more and more that it's a marathon, not a sprint. I can tell you it's nothing like I've experienced before, or any of my colleagues. It's essentially there's going to be a before and there's going to be an after this. And honestly, unfortunately, not to give a dire gloom picture, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Honestly, if you look at the stats and you look from an epidemiological standpoint, it takes about 10 to 16 days from the time someone is infected till the time their test comes back positive. What that means essentially is that the cases that we're seeing now are from 2 weeks ago when they were initially infected. So honestly, I don't anticipate, and we don't anticipate that we've hit peak yet here in New York City and probably in many places across the world. I think there's a lot of ways to cope. Uh, I'm honestly trying to just get outside when I can. I live very close to Central Park, so I just try to get outside, go for a run, exercise, and really try to stay, close to the things that obviously keep me sane and healthy, just to obviously keep my immunity up so that I don't get sick during this critical time. But people have been creative, honestly. We're having virtual happy hours. Some of my colleagues, including psychotherapists and psychologists and psychiatrists, have obviously offered their ears and offered to give us televisits free of charge, just to obviously, prevent this emotional burden or essentially kind of cope with what we're dealing with at this point in time. I think there's a lot of things we can probably do to help our healthcare workers and to help the society at large. I believe we can probably institute a manufacturing act to actually get companies involved and massively produce PPE and other critical materials and medicines and things that we need on the front lines to obviously deal with this illness, because this is not going away anytime soon. This is something that we're probably going to see for months, if not longer, if we don't continue to obviously take this seriously, enact social distancing, and do the critical things that we've been preaching for. Myself and my colleagues included, of course, we're scared. There's a level of anxiety and fear amongst all of us, considering that coronavirus doesn't just affect the old or those with comorbid disease. This is a serious illness, a serious virus, and it affects people of all ages, races, gender, socioeconomic status. It really doesn't matter the color of your skin or who you are. People are falling to this illness. So I think people need to take it seriously, and we're obviously aware of that, being on the front lines and seeing how it's affected so many. It's kind of an extreme version of the Hippocratic Oath right now. No one expected to sign up to take care of patients, obviously with the lack of personal protective equipment, and to honestly fear for your life every day. I didn't expect that, but like I said, and I think I've told some of my colleagues and others, if there was any time to feel validated about going into medicine, let alone emergency medicine, that time is now.